And I think I'm live again. Yes, it seems so. Something is like going on with the Wi-Fi. But yeah, I'm live again, and yep, things seem better. Okay, cool. Uh, Yep, cool. This seems better. Johann Liebert, this endpoint not found somehow. Query parameter slash product key equals value. Question mark. This thing equals this, and separated with and. This should be working. Question mark. Okay, this thing not found. How was this thing not found? Params ID, this ID with the root and then ID. If I say ID here and still not found, yep, as expected. Is the stream okay? Seems to be okay. Params ID. Uh, query. Does query come from the header? Okay. Not found because backend is not running. Run this and not found. If I remove ID is 1234, let's say, still not found. Localhost 2022. Why is this not found? API.px, use app and use access dot slash root dot slash access. App equals yes. Shit. Okay, makes sense. Because this is should be delete and the backend is not working. Message take back ID is this, and let's give a query parameter. Query parameter name equals Yuan no Gintoki Sakura Gintoki. Let's go. Okay, we are able to get query parameters and params. Cool. Yes, that is the way that we can add new APIs. Now, do we need to add more? Yes, of course, we do need to add more APIs. We need to make middlewares. Let's read about key concepts in Elysia. Yep, 3 minutes and seems okay. Stream seems to be okay. What is the speed? The stream seems to be okay. I'll put this here. Here. Exit. Cool. Okay. Elysia has a very Elysia has every important concept that you need to understand to use. Okay, this page covers most that you should know before getting started. Encapsulation must read. Elysia lifecycle methods are encapsulated to its own instance only. Which means that if you create a new instance, it will not share the lifecycle methods with others. What does that mean? New Elysia, this will not have sign in check. This thing, use profile patch method for this and this. Okay, on before handle cookie. We can get cookies. Cool. throw if not sign in on before handle. This is like for middlewares, I think. What is sign in check? I think it is for middleware. Okay, encapsulation part, we get it. Elysia isolate life cycle. Elysia isolate life cycle by default. Isolates life cycle by default unless explicitly stated. This is similar to export in JavaScript, where you need to export the function to make it available outside the module. To export the life cycle to another instance, you must add specify the scope as global, or we can just say export this. Method chaining important. Elysia should always use method chaining. Not store is strictly typed. This is important to ensure type safety. Method chaining. In the code above, state returns a new Elysian instance type, adding a type build property, typed build property. Okay, this thing. Uh, State returns a new Elysia object, adding a type build. Okay, okay. We call on this thing state, which returns a build property here in a store or something. Okay, without method chaining. An Elysian type system is complex. Every method in Elysia returns a new type inference. Every method. Without using method chaining, Elysia doesn't save these new types, leading to no type inference. State app.get. This does not exist on type build. On type this build does not exist, so we have to call app dot this thing dot get on this with chaining, like this said, chaining. Dependency. um, am I even live? 17, no, it was not 17,000, it is, yep, kbps is fine. Dependency. Elysia by design is composed of multiple mini Elysia apps which can run independently, like a microservice that communicate with each other. Elysia by design is composed of mini Elysia apps which can run independently, like a microservice that communicate with each other. Yes, using use, I think each Elysian instance is independent and can run on a standalone server. When an instance needs to use another instance's service, you must explicitly declare the dependency. Must explicitly declare the dependency. Forget auth is missing. Auth, this function. Call this function auth here. That is messed up. Auth, small a, capital A. Auth is required to use. Okay, should we just use this to use as a middleware? Okay, that is what all we wanted to know, how to use a middleware. Access point, middleware.ts, import media const. um will we have two middlewares? We just need one middleware which takes in a request, verifies the cookie sent in by the user, and yes, just says okay, it is okay, no problem with this, or it returns if there is some problem. Auth equals media export, or if we were to add export here, cool, export, and this is being exported. Auth dot any How to add a middleware? That is a waifu. Macro role resolve find user authorize. Okay, I don't want to do this. What does macro do? Elysia macro. Macro. Put to the top. Macro is similar to a function that has control over the lifecycle event schema and context with full type safety. Once defined, it will be available in the hook and can be activated by adding the property dot macro. So this thing stays. Plugin is a macro. Elysia object and macro this hi. This macro takes in an object which has a method hi, which has this. Uh, okay, and what is the syntax like? Yes, what is this syntax? This is returning two things: a hi and hi Elysia. Elysia. Yep. And yep, I didn't restart it. Like got nuked. The stream ended somehow on its own. My Wi-Fi got nuked. It got kaput. What is I think after is it telling the type? What is it? Elysia, Bruno's Elysia. Hook, guard, object. Third argument in an Elysian route. Elysia route is Elysia. Route is a hook configuration object, but in your example, this thing, hi Elysia, is not a valid property. It does not do anything meaningful. It would just be ignored by Elysia. What the third argument is actually used for? What is it used for? Shit, that is a lot of things. Okay, shit, this is the third argument. This is the function, and this is the third argument. Okay, what is the third argument? The third argument is for root level hooks, validation, and metadata. Hi, Elysia, in your example, is just a meaningless ignored property. It was probably used. Okay, how do I add middlewares? Midsommar, 2019 movie with Florence Pugh. Nice movie. I have not watched. Uh, not middleware in Elysia. Yep. Oh, yes, problem in routing. Yes, pun intended. Life cycles. Life cycle of interactive playground. We can play into multiple stages called life cycle events. It's designed to separate the process into distinct phases based on their responsibility without interfering with each other. Here is the order: a request, notify, new event is created, parse, body, transform, handle, before handle, custom validation, before router handling. This is what we want. Before handle, execute, after validation, and before the main route handler. Designed to provide a custom validation to provide a specific requirement before running the main handler. If value is returned, the route handler will be skipped. Yes, wait. If a value is returned, the route handler will be skipped. Okay, if nothing is returned, then the request will go on to the route handler. It is recommended to use beforehand in the following situation: restricted access checkpoints, authorization, user sign-in, custom request requirement over data structures. Below is an example of using before handler. Okay, get this. Third argument is the before handler. And what is this? Before valid session from dot slash user takes in the value and returns true or false. Okay, that is cool. Before handler, we are calling before handler which takes in set cookie session status, set who is using set, no one is using set, but okay, cookies session dot value for getting the token, and status is something. Okay, so we have to write a function which returns true if a user is valid and false if the user is non-valid. Sounds like we have a job. Okay, middlewares would be, oh shit, no, middle. Is there any other way? Guard before handle we have to give the function to before handle, so we just write the function here, a normal function, not an Elysia object, just a normal dude. Const verify user or user verify user authenticate. Authorize is different, yes. Authenticate equals, this takes in token which is a string and returns a boolean value, and here bro is processing. Expression expected. Where does the return type go? Go and wait, I think we did the right thing here. Expected comma, no. The function, yes. Okay, cool. Token, yes, we have to verify token. Shit, but we don't just want to return true and false. We want to get the data out of the token, the user ID and username. We want a proper middleware. And middleware one that takes in the request and returns the body with user ID and username. How to add a middleware? That would be cool. Hello, I suppose you have used Express before. Yep. How do you find Elysia compared to it? I mean, they are similar, very similar as far as I can say. I've used a little bit of Express. Yep, making for learning. But I've never used Postman. Just Bruno. I don't know Bruno. Look it up. Open source and similar UI. Better in my opinion. Hey, what is Bruno? Get native API client. Shit, that is some dope level thing. Bruno versus Postman. They don't have dark mode. While others build platforms to justify higher costs, Bruno stays focused on what matters, helping developers test APIs efficiently. Sometimes the best solution is the one that doesn't try to do everything. Postman. Imagine your entire code is a single file and you are forced to use proprietary version control system to collaborate with your team. This is the reality of collection versioning in Postman. Collections are a single JSON file, and at the end of the day, versioning is controlled manually by someone managing your workspace rather than through standardized processes. If you won't accept this for your normal code, why would you accept it for API collections? Collectioning, I have not like happened to use something called collectioning. I just enter the uh, URL and the request using lib for such things which can be made yourself. What do you mean? Hodgepodge, Hodgescop, made in India? Huh. Wait, lib for what? Stores your collections directly in a folder on your file system using a plain text markup language brew. To save information about API requests, you can natively use Git or any version control of your choice to collaborate over your API collections just as you would with code. Okay, I think this. Okay, that is. Hmm, we generally, or like professional people, I think, generally write down somewhere what their APIs are instead of going through the code and finding all the APIs. Okay, I guess that is something I will have to do. And if we are doing that, then for that purpose, Postman is not good because it asks you for money for the same. But in Bruno, you can just have all the APIs written in a markup language format called brew, like this. Meta name type HTTP post request to this body JSON auth JSON, like this, and this works, and we can share this with other people. That is cool. Hello, Raj. Why use external dependencies for things which would hardly take you any time or even think? If your purpose is learning, then why do you need to save time? Like point out to something that you think I can do, like Zord. If you are referring to Zord, then no, I do not want to write that thing on my own. Okay, yes, middleware. We were at middleware. Dot derive. Elysia uses dot derive to create middlewares that adds properties to the request context. Dot derive takes headers, and this is the function. Okay, this takes in a function which returns user ID, username, decode. Yes, get the token authorization dot split. Get the second thing bearer dot space token. Decode verify token. Decoded dot username. Okay, derive dot derive. This thing takes in this. Okay, so I route level middle. Yes, dot guard takes in app. Yes, as a reusable plugin would be very cool. This use auth middleware. Yes. Okay, this is what we want. Something like this. Dot derive takes in header, takes the token, decodes, verifies, and returns this thing. And we can just say dot use our middleware and then go to the route. Cool. Um, the full name of course, name. Elysia, mm, not derive, takes in function, takes the header, and header does not exist. Capital H, shit, header does not exist. Using Zord, yeah, I don't want to write Zord on my own. Does your use of dependency justify its weight? Okay, does the use of dependency justify its weight? Like, yes, it is fine. Like, I have no problem. Hello, create your own auth. The more, yes, they are coming. Uh, with a C-O-M-I-N-G coming. The more you know things work under the hood, the better. But this probably about personal goals and tech standards and set by big companies. They say not create something new and reuse something that exists. That is against innovation pretty much. They say create something new instead of reuse. Okay, that is against innovation. Yes, and hello. Like, I would just say, like I will not try to do everything. If something is working, then it is fine, and step by step, I can go deeper. That is what I would say, instead of just discarding every library that I might be using. Yep, I could write a HTTP server on my own if I wanted to, which I have done at some point, but no, like, yeah, this is fine. Header, headers has an S. Cool. And yes, I will like use Zord, and this is for learning. But what would be the justification that I am not writing Zord on my own? Because it will, or it, I know for a fact that it will start to feel like too much, and I might just stop working on this project at all. Right? So yes, I do have to make the project. That is one priority this time. Okay, we have the headers. Yes, this will come in headers. Con token equals headers dot split with headers dot token. How do they do this? Headers authorization. Go to authorization if it exists with a capital A, small a, Z API one dot question mark split at a space, and let's get the second thing, headers is the thing, authorization, that should be Z. Get the token with const response is verify from helper JWT. This thing takes in the token. Okay, this must take in a string. If token, if not token, if the token was not given, then not written. How do I return to not this but give the error? How do I give the error? Return this. This just works. How do this thing return back to the server? Dot derive. Add new properties to context like middlewares. How do I return back to the user using the derived middleware? Yep, how do you do that? Once, okay. Search posting sh. What is that? Bro, if you are reading this, search. Okay, okay. Wait. Okay, like that is cool. Once, okay, I will do this exactly once. You don't need to discard everything, but do understand how things are happening under the hood on stages, not right now. If your purpose is learning, then how is the external dependencies helping? Because I know that there are, well, I right now know that there is a thing called user authentication, which we can do with Zod. That is one step, good enough. And after some time, I can see how that works, how Zod works at its own time using Mac OS, unfortunately. Learning the concepts, or are you learning the framework, or you using concept and also the framework? I know the concept of user authentication now and how to use Zod for that, which is the framework. Shit. TY. Okay, that is cool. That is cool. Darren slash posting. Posting is beautiful open source terminal for apps for developing and testing APIs. That is cool. Posting. Yep. And I will not be using this right now. I will like maybe do some stream on this, studying its documentation. We will have to see. We will have to see. How does btop thing works? Btop has some refresh rate. This is 30 FPS. This is 30 or 24 FPS. Btop is 30 or 24 FPS. I guess, yeah, that posting thing might be as low as this. Shit, not 20. Shit, point 0.5, point 0.5. I meant 24 frames per minute. Btop is slow. So point 0.5 FPS, which is around 30 frames. Not around, but exactly 30 frames per minute. Okay, yes. Back to this. How do we return from the middleware? Returning from dot derive. If not token set status equals 400 return error. This won't work. Yes, so how do we fix this? Cannot short circuit a request. Use, okay, on before handle. What is on before handle? How it works? Yes, we can do short circuit validation auth checks. Use on before handle to return a response error to user dot derive to attach data context. Okay, we will use on before handle in that case. Before handle, life cycle handler plugin, execute after validation and before the main route handling, designed to provide a custom validation to provide a specific requirement before running the main handler. Yes, something that we want. If a value is written, the route handler will be skipped. We just read this. Yes, shit. Status 401. Okay, we can return a status code, and also some message we might be wanting the guard to the user, the front end to know. Before handle set cookie. This thing is feels like we are defining a function here whose name is before handle and which is doing all this, but this is being defined in place. Can we not use a reusable middleware so that we are not writing the same function at every authenticated API? Mm, how do we add middleware before handle? But this is at a certain API. We can make this work for a certain API, and all the authenticated APIs will be called on this API. Yes, that makes sense. 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 Okay, let's for now like copy paste this and copy paste this whole thing. Ah, no, this is fine. Dot get. This is putting dot get method. Let's say we have a method which says dot get. No, this will say dot use. That is not good. Yep, that is not good. That is not good. Shit. How to add APIs? How to add middlewares which can dot circuit and are also reusable. We gotta figure that out. Wait, Elysium was slowing you down? Shit, mine is working fine. Claude 2. Though. Ah, okay. This too similar to Go's HTTP server. It takes in callback function. Yep. Create a separate function with the expected signature and pass that function for the required path. If it takes a callback function, it takes a callback function, but I do not want to do that because then the function that I would be defining with these inputs separately, that function would need to have, or yes, would need to know the types of these things. What is the type of status, what is the type of session, what is cookie, what is set, and I do not want to do that because like there must be a better way. It's reusable. On beforehand, shit, they are again like literally defining the function, and then dot derive headers. Okay, we can either pass this as a function or we can literally call this thing on before handle, and handle and derive. Shit, that is cool. That is cool. Handle derive, and we only derive. Derive can return, but handle cannot return. If handle returns, then there is a problem. So that is fine. But we want our main API handler function to get not the token, but the username and ID, which it can get if we put in this derive little pipeline in the middle of the middleware and the final API point. And it's cool. And here we will also get types for headers and set what even is set status code to this if no token 401 no token that is just beautiful. What is this name thing? Use it in your app, bro knows. Health, no, okay. Applies only to specific things. Where is card? This is public, and then you can call dot card all of these in one go. Okay, okay. Guard. Okay, this is a little bit trippy. This takes an app and calls these things on app. Why can we just not keep this part and remove this and this? Why do we have to use dot guard? Because if we didn't do this, then this use auth middleware I guess would also apply to this. Okay, which is not good. Multiple reusable middlewares, and this is just a hypothesis that this auth middleware would also be applied to this if we do not put this in guard. Okay, this is cool. This is cool. Headers and set. Const auth middleware equals Elysia or middleware dot beforehand on before handle. This takes in a function headers and set, right, and we get the token then const token equals headers dot authorization dot question mark dot split and save and get the second thing from it. Now if not token, then set dot status equals 401. 401 is non-authorized. 4012 is 4012 a code. Application is specific. Unauthorized 401 and return error true and message token not sent or auth token not sent more specifically. Okay, if we do have the token, then we have to verify the token. Response is verify token res. Might this give some error? This might give some error. Let's change the verify function to get a specific error. This thing might give error. Wait, how are insides odd? Promise. This returns a promise. JWT verify result JWT payload. Yes. This might give. Okay, fine. If this gives error, then we will set status equals 401, return error true, and message wrong token. Okay, but otherwise, if this does work, then we are cool. Then we are legit cool. We can call derive on this. What does derive take in? This takes in the headers. He Yes, this take. Okay, cool. Headers. Headers. And what does it do? Hello. For workflow. KB shortcuts? What is KB? Keyboard shortcuts. Wait, LazyWim made your keyboard shortcuts slow. That is sad. Function chaining, as far as no pipeline would be a different stuff altogether. Also, this seems similar to Chi and I don't know like what is Chi. I have only written few things in Go and I forgot them. Like const, we can be guaranteed at this point that we will get a token because we didn't mess up. Authorization IO IO and question mark dot split, add a space, get one thing, and if we do have to check if token because TypeScript. Response is verify token. Okay, after we have this, we can just return res. Wait, not return res. Yes, return res. No, not return res. Return user name is res dot user name, which might. Shit, okay, makes sense. Wait, therefore this function has to be async. We can just return res now. Shit, we cannot. Argument of type headers. That is some big error. Argument of type headers body unknown query record this params. Username is res dot username and user id is res dot user id. It- So they are saying that is fine, but this is not fine. Okay, this is also fine. Cool. And we also have to make this function async when we do verify. This is used, but the value is never used. Fine. We're just checking for error. So we have our middleware. Cool. And okay, shit. There are multiple ways to display stuff. Shit, that is crazy. I pressed I and this is happening. Shit, that is messed up. And does it remember? No, it does not remember. We do have to manually change. Shit, this one looks pretty cool, and this structure looks pretty cool. Shit, yes, this looks very cool. New net rw tree listing, net rw tree listing, and space opt. Net rw, net rw local buffer tree listing. There is no legit tree listing option. How do help help tree listing? No help. Shit. Net rw tree listing directory. Yes, this thing. How do how do we go to this thing? I think we are there. Net rw. No, we are not. Press I. Net rw I. And what are these green things? Links. Quick explanation. How to go to link. How to go to link and then docs or help. Control and okay, that is good. Thin line tree. I map cycles between the thin line, wide and tree listing formats. How can I set this as an option from Lua? Using this globally. Oh, wait, shit. C G NetRW lifestyle as an example marketing. Let this equals to live list. They are just saying use I, but what would be the Lua option? Lua option. Vim.g init dot Lua. NetRW listing style equals 3. The third style. Is it the third style? Yes. Listing style equal to 3. Vim.g dot NetRW listing style equal to 3. Cool. Uh, options dot g dot netar. There is no listing style here, but fine. List style. Cool. Yeah. Now we have it. It is working. Cool. Backend framework like Fiber, HU Fiber, Gin from uh, Hunter x Hunter, Gin, written in pure Go. That is cool. Wait, this does seem overwhelming. Yeah, this is not good. Okay, yes, this is not good. This is better. Helper database APIs. We have a middleware which is being not exported. Export or middleware and APIs. We need to write a protected API. Let's say this use thing is a protected API. We will use guard. Router.guard takes in router and router dot use auth middleware and router dot use app. Somebody has type any guard app use this guard takes in app, and it was okay before but not here. Router dot use and router dot guard, router dot get, router dot guard takes in app and app on app or this internal thing we are getting this. Also use this should be working. This should be working. Guard takes in the object on which guard is being called, and we do dot use and dot get on guard. Why does guard not know this type? Wait, maybe dot use is not returning something valid. Okay, no, it is returning valid. Here we are using use and then we are using dot guard on the thing that is written by use. On this object we are calling dot use dot use and then dot guard use guard. Yeah. Here I am getting error that router is of any type. Question mark was not needed. Okay, guard type error. Your code error. Return app instance. Shh. Wait. Return app instance. So I have to return app. Okay. Still. Second dot guard config with object. Why error? Missing a return. Okay, that we did fix. You need an explicit return, or use arrow function without curly brackets. Either this or this, which we did. Change. TypeScript cannot infer type when nothing is returned. So router falls back to any. But now we are returning router. Still error. Guard router should be working. Fix use a different parameter name. Wait, why app substitute? That is not the problem. Explicit typing is not good. This thing wants dot guard is a method. Dot guard wants an object. No shit. Ob how does dot guard know that there is going to be username and password here? Example. This is example. Okay, that is a good example. Shit. The first parameter to guard has to be an object. It has to be an object. And then we take app. Okay. Okay, that is good. That is fine. And we can even say here router and here. And this route is now protected. So you'll use raw React like white or yep. And you nope, I won't be using Next.js, because if it is the later, then why not handle? Yes, nope, it is not the later. It is basic React. Not next yet. And this route is now protected. Your route is protected. So okay, your user is already there. I forgot the password. Shit. I think this is the correct password. If we do slash user slash login send, shit, backend is not running. Now it is. Not found is funny because delete shit. Post method has to be post. A wrong password. Do you remember your password? Uh, then try using Astro. It is quite fun and fast for front end. Okay, I'll see Astro. Neom. Okay, I guess you were telling him. Yes, I forgot. Like shit. I guess we will create a new user. Slash. Wait, maybe in history we do have the password. Yo, let's go. Wait, no. Here. Yep, we even got a token. Yep, password was password. Cool. Let's log in. We have a token. Copy the token. Control C multiple times. And here authorization bearer token double quotes. Okay, and the protected route is at delete, and here ID, let's say, is 543 123 and we need a query parameter also called name would be uh, name would be Munich, let's say. Authorization set not found. Shit, yes, there is also ID. You also have to type in ID. Let's go. It is protected, and if we like change this token, let's remove this E from the start. Okay, but shit, it is still working. It's for front end. Astro is for front end, but they are saying it is it where is content driven website. Yeah, I will like look into it afterwards. Right now, this is not working. I mean, this is working. This should not be working. Uh, why is our router okay? Guard is not working. Guard is like letting everyone through. Should I guess before handle goes here? If it does, then that is very messed up. Router with app. Here, okay, router dot use app and also router dot use auth middleware and router dot use access. How does it work? We removed E from the start. This is still working somehow. Yep, this is still working somehow. Quite wrong. Yeah, things working. Yes, that is a problem. God. Uh, okay, you. Okay, shit. That is something. Guard is not working. Yep. Middleware auth middleware use access. The way that the documentation says is this, and the way that we are doing is different. This thing requires beforehand here inside the guard. That is how the guard will work, but our guard is empty. I guess we will have to use the method like you said. Bro, which system distro you running? Me running Mac, unfortunately. And hello, Shivendra Sharma. D5V due to some reason. If you get time today, read the two pass parser implementation, two pass parser. Okay, tongue twister, and the whole Go code two. Okay, whole Go code. Like I'm not very good with Go. Right. Yep. And nice Mac. Not nice. I cannot use Linux. Shit. Cannot use Linux. But yeah, the hardware is pretty cool. Cool. For this laptop, hardware is pretty cool. Like very lightweight, and I can carry this wherever I very easily. Router.use of access. Middleware. Yes, middleware is the problem that we are trying to solve. Middleware. I think we can just describe this in place. Yes, we can describe this in place right here. Router dot card. This thing will take the auth middleware thing inside. Yep. This whole thing, and also the app, and we will put derive onto app. Yes, we will put derive onto app. Copy. Hmm. This error, this expression is not a okay. Still not callable. Yes. Okay. Hmm. Cannot find name. Okay. Ah. Import verify and shit. This token. Get the token. Do this. Try. Yeah. This should be working. Except after this, we need a this and a this. Okay. Object literal may only. This can only have specified properties. Set status session cookie header. We do not have headers. Session dot value. Best validation. Zord. They are using Zord. Body params header validation. Yeah, that is different validation. Before handle and shit, that is messed up. They only give these things. Okay, we can say session. Uh, session session dot value. Okay, let's change this. Now wanting some error. Session is declared, status declared. Binding element set implicitly has type any. Set has type any. That is messed up. Before handle card dot router dot guard takes in an object which has this function. Return app dot use the derived part of this middleware. This okay, and comma app and then shit, function return something. This thing is internally taking a function. This derived thing is internally taking a function. Where that function is returning, and we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this. Okay. Headers is not there, that is fine. Now the problem is object literal on before model does not exist. On before handle. Yeah. Okay, okay, cool. Session is possibly undefined. Session dot value. What is session? Se yes, what session is something in cookie. Okay, let's just like comment this out and s2 light console.log session. We have our guard up. Cool. And we have a derived thing, and we must not use Must use app. Okay. It's because server is not running. My bad. We do get the correct thing, even though the cookie is not correct. What was returned? Name, session, initial, name, session, value, hash, undefined, getter, setter, session dot cookie. Cookie is just a random path. Okay, shit, because cookie is not set. Settings, where do we set the cookie? Authorization. Headers are empty. Shit. Authorization. Bearer, space, copy, and headers, paste. Server is not running. We do get path as empty. And okay, wait. I have to go to washroom and I will be right back in 1 minute. I'm struggling here. And it's Monopoly. Wait, what? OS component. Don't write their OS components in React. Mac people. I need to use cache and RAM to speed up their file because it takes so much more. Like, I don't get it. Would you advise me from before starting competitive programming? The problems are so hard. They are not like lead code. If it is the question understanding, the question is the hard part. In knowing what do you delete when you delete a word in insert mode, I use Control W, yes, but I don't want to cause it to make and have it in new environment like in lead code. Control W, close the window. Shit, okay. You can in lead code use new vim. You can use new vim in lead code. Go to some problem, two sum or three sum if you want to, but two sum is better. Go there and guess from settings, code editor, and just select vim. And here you can legit use vim. And wait, control, you use control W? Wait, control in insert mode. Shit, okay. You delete word from insert mode. Okay, that is something. Which college year or top? I'm in college. Kshitij Patil, Patil, in third year right now. Or maybe you just get the idea of how to write parser flow. Use control backspace to delete word in insert mode. Control backspace is too far away. Yes, backspace is legit too far away. In insert mode, control backspace. And control backspace is not deleting the word. Insert mode, control backspace is not deleting the word. Control W. Control W is deleting the word to the left. Control E. Shit. Backspace. Control E. Control W is deleting the word. Control backspace not working. Funktioniert nicht. Want to learn MERN or React plus Spring Boot? What is your opinion? Just go with anything, like legit. Just go with anything, and when you know some things about how things work, you can decide what to do. Yeah, it does not really matter. Just go with anything. That is what you can do. I am doing. I'm just going with anything like Elysia or whatever it is. And okay, for competitive programming, you're asking. I mean, these since you are using NewVim, so like you are one of the cooler persons. Uh, you can go to this CP31 sheet, and these problems are not too difficult, I guess. These 800 rated problems, and if you are facing difficulty in these, which I was also facing at the time, uh, just take your time. Like, don't be too hasteful. Right? Take your time. Start with simpler problems. Slowly go up, and also there is an article catalog how to read problem statements. This article by Mr. Omnik. Omnik is one of the good ones. Yep, just go with anything randomly. And also read this article if you want. And yep, that's cool. Just read this article. He is explaining how you can read a problem and remove the story and just understand, focus more on the maths. And he gives some examples which I have not read. I only read this part. It was good enough. Yep. That is my advice. Cannot understand why the fuck is your development so unnecessarily complex. It is not hard, it is just unnecessarily complex because you cannot have a standard. There is a should there is a thing. Standards are good, but there are just so many of them. Yes, someone new to programming. So yeah, just choose anything and move forward with it. Session cookie. How do we add cookie in this? Cookies legit. It says cookie. Uh, maybe if I do headers, go. Let's go. We can get headers. We don't have to use cookies. And why don't we have to use cookies? Okay, when since we have headers, everything is okay. Cannot invoke an object which is possibly undefined. So okay, let's like go with your way of doing things. Let's go. It is not undefined. If not headers, if like bro didn't send headers, then we will set status 401 401 cannot invoke an object which might possibly set. How can set possibly be undefined? It's set as headers. about directly doing this to status. Okay, we can do this with the status and remove set completely. Status 41 and headers status and then return a strange thing which says bro didn't send header lol. Where eight spaces are eight tab spaces are kind of bad. Like this is going out of screen almost halfway to the screen. Eight spaces are not good. Token header split. We are checking if headers is not if headers equal undefined then this is the only line at which we are tripping. But why? We are checking headers if undefined then error. Do we like have to say else? Okay, there is still an error. Shit. Okay. Yeah. That was a retard thing to do. Uh, Authorization. Let's go. Okay, we have our guard up, which is a nice thing. Okay, and let's start from the back. Auth token not sent. It is literally here. Auth token not sent. Why? Not sent. If not token authorization. Authorization. If we were to do instead of not this small a, that is crazy. Wrong token. Okay, let's re-login. Login. Go there. Wrong password. This was correct thing, I think. Okay, yes, we have a token. We have a token. Copy headers, authorization, bearer, and token, and ID. This works, and method was delete. Let's go. Let's go. This is working. And if we were to change this token, remove the E, this is not working. Not wrong token. So we have a way to protect our routes. Cool. That is cool. That is cool. That is cool. And our development is is easier, I guess, because the whole Android thing is controlled by one company, Google, but the web development thing, everyone is adding their own thing. Like even Android development, okay. Especially since Jetpack Compose came with things like, okay, I don't know Android development, 86 times our second words. Only to GNU syntax. GNU style syntax is worse. Okay. Yeah, our card. Let's start from the back. Yes, that was intentional. Okay. Cheers. Look at this thing, router.guard. The name of the function in which the cursor is comes at the top. If cursor goes out, name goes away. This is a new Vim plugin. This one, plugin. Vim tree object, no. New Vim tree context. I will one day have to do a stream in which I'm going through these new Vim things, and I will be deleting, cleaning this up. That would be cool. Okay, we have a pipeline for stuff. Cool, cool, cool. If we want to add new APIs, we can just go to APIs, create a file, export it, import that here. If it is protected, wait, import it here. If it is not protected, add it here. Router dot use that thing that we imported. But if it is protected, add it here. Dot use and the thing, and a new API is created. Okay, we can just add new APIs, which is cool. Which is cool. Okay, so we have to decide on what the new APIs should be. Yep, nice. Came to think about it, I don't have ever needed to write a proper backend till now. Hmm. We You can try someday. It is cool. So we have to decide what. Yes, that is back and front end. We have to decide what APIs to write. Now that we have a method of writing APIs, protected and unprotected, and we already have two APIs up for creating and logging in an already existing user. Shit, this is chess. I legit have no idea what the APIs should be. Create a game. Shit, okay. Oh, shit. Create game would be one API, and shit. Join game, watch game. What the APIs should be? Create a game, yes, is one API. And what will this do? This will create a game. What does that mean? Creating a game? Shit, what does that mean? Creating a game. Creating a game means adding a game to backend. Adding a game to backend. What does creating a game mean? Adding a game to backend. No, no. Creating a game means that since we want, okay, let's think about this from the perspective of the user. User comes in, says like create a game. There is just one button on the whole website which says create game. User clicks on that, some request goes to the backend, something happens, and a game starts. So what happened? There is another user who also clicked on that singular button called create game, and backend has a list of all the games which are required to be created right now. And now backend sees that there are two games, one is white and one is green, green somehow. So there are two games which must be created, and backend connects these two using webhook, WebSocket, so that these two can communicate with each other. But if that happens, then backend would not know. That is cool. Okay. If that happens, if these two are directly communicating, which is fine, they can communicate with each other, which is fine because some games required speedy communication. So instead of sending the request to backend and then sending to the other user and then yeah, communicating through backend, they can communicate directly with each other. But then the question is, how would the backend know what are they communicating? The answer would be these two people will tell backend what are the moves that they are playing. But what if, and then backend can at its own pace keep updating the database every time a move is played. But but if both of these, if this one says I made some move and this one says I made another move, what then? What if they are like, yes, saying different things? What if they are saying yes, then what would be the source of truth? Shit, that is a legit problem. That is a legit problem. If this player says I made this move and this player says no, this player made some like a random blunder move, then who will backend listen to? One solution would be this player one first tells backend this is my move, and then the move goes to player two. They are essentially they would be communicating through the backend, but that is like again slow. If we are doing a direct communication, then yes, shit, that is a problem to solve. But would this indirect communication through the backend, would that be this much slow? Would it be too slow? I guess maybe not. Maybe not. That might not be like too slow because the size of data that is being processed and that is being sent is not too bad. Is not too, yeah, it's not too big. It's not too big. We are only sending like a few characters which are representing the move played by the other player. So I guess their communication through the backend is the nice way to go here. If they are communicating directly and telling the backend, then that is not good. And back and also, yes, there would be another problem if they were communicating directly. If player 1 and player 2 they were communicating directly on a match, then we will be having guardrails on the front end so that only valid moves are sent to player 2. But what if player 1 is a hacker? If player 1 is a hacker, they can bypass those front end guardrails because anyone can bypass front end guardrails who is a hacker, that is. Then they will be, player 1 would be sending player 2 some mischievous moves. So do we add another like this verification thing which verifies if this move sent by the other player is it correct or not at the front end? And let's say player 2 is also mischievous, he is also a hacker, so they like these two could conspire and just play a whole different game which is not even like chess. They could have like 10 queens each. Okay, that is bad. Shit, that is fine. Okay, so they will not be communicating with each other. They will be communicating through the backend. Yep, they will be communicating through the backend. Both the players will be communicating through the backend, and yep, that would be it for today. More would be tomorrow. Shit, yep. Uh, Yep, that would be it for today. We have now a model for creating APIs. We have user authentication. Now we have to work on creating other APIs, which is like create a game or other things like that. And thank you for being here. Bye.